Versatile Mage. Chapter 56 Missing Girl. Alright, Fan Mo, we will give you an ID related to the City Hunters team later, Captain Zhu Dawang said. There's an ID? Mo Fan asked, feeling a bit stunned. Of course, Fashi explained with a smile. This ID has quite a few privileges. Right now, you are equivalent to an enforcement officer within Bo City. You're saying that I have now become an honorable enforcement officer? Mo Fan raised a brow. Ha ha ha, we are precisely city officers. Li Wenji laughed. Once he stopped laughing, he continued, the only difference is that we don't deal with law-breaking peddlers or profiteers. We deal with the things that emerge at night. A city officer of Bo City. Mo Fan couldn't help but smile. This position suited him quite well. It had the air of being like Spider-Man, the Flash, or Iron Man, a hero meant to save this chaotic city while remaining mysterious and charming enough to flirt with girls. Mo Fan quickly blended in with the group's mood. Fei Shi, the most experienced among them, began introducing the squad's current state of affairs as well as their primary responsibilities. Hello, what? Why didn't you report this to me earlier? What kind of global joke are you making? Those police officers are completely useless. While they were happily chatting, Captain Zhu Dawang suddenly roared into his phone. Li Wenji, Xiaoqi, Fashi, and the others stopped smiling, the gazes fixed on their captain. At that moment, Fei Shi frowned and whispered to the curious Mo Fan, originally, we wanted to take you out for some drinks. Who would have thought that the second you joined us, we'd get assigned work? If we're not wrong, it's most likely the cafeteria's quaking door at Mingwen Girls' Middle School. The cafeteria's quaking door. Mo Fan's eyes widened. He had heard of quaking cars, quaking water, quaking fields, but quaking doors. You city people sure know how to have fun. Brother, you're too wicked. It's not what you think. Every night, the school's cafeteria shakes strangely. At first, they thought it was some construction work happening late at night. But when they investigated, they found no construction team. Instead, there's been a strange story passed down in Mingwen Girls' Middle School, Fei Shi whispered. Mingwen Girls' Middle School. Mo Fan suddenly realized something and asked further. Yes, it's an all-girls school. Even the teachers. TSK, cough. Fei Shi quickly returned to being serious. Mo Fan didn't have time for wild thoughts. Yi Xingxia attended that very school. He remembered that about 2 months ago, during a phone call, she had mentioned the cafeteria being really scary. Alright, let's take advantage of the time when students aren't studying and resolve this issue immediately. Captain Zhu Dawang said. Putting down his phone, Zhu Dawang's smile was gone. Li Wenji, Xiaoqi, Guo Kaitang, and Fashi all stared at their captain. There's been an accident. A second girl has gone missing, Zhu Dawang said calmly. Everyone's brows furrowed. A few months earlier, a girl had gone missing at Mingwen Girls' Middle School. Since it was unclear whether she had disappeared on school grounds, the police had handled the matter. Even after months, there had been no clues. The case had made the morning papers, but in a city of several million, disappearances weren't unusual to the police. Zhu Dawang and his team had visited the school before, but the administration didn't want to make the matter public, so they refused the city hunters' help. Now, half a year later, another girl had gone missing, this time inside the school grounds. Realizing the seriousness, the school urgently contacted the city hunter team. Captain, if someone's missing, shouldn't they still just contact the police? Xiaoqi asked. This light mage found some footprints that didn't belong to humans, Zhu Dawang said solemnly. The room fell silent, except for Li Wenji, who seemed eager for action. They contacted us a week after it happened. They're idiots. If they'd called us right away, maybe we could have found the girl. But now, after so long, she's definitely gone. Some schools are like that. They hide bad things until they can't anymore. Then it becomes a real problem, Guo Kaitang said coldly. Mo Fan's heart tightened. Missing for a month. Yi Xingxia hadn't contacted him for a whole week. Since he couldn't afford a mobile phone, Mo Fan always used a public telephone booth to call Yi Xingxia at least once a week. After returning from practicals, he had been so focused on increasing his strength that he forgot to check in with her. Aunt Mo King's house was near Mingwen Girls' Middle School. Even during summer break, Yi Xingxia spent most of her time in the school library since walking was inconvenient for her. The more Mo Fan thought about it, the more panicked he became. He quickly borrowed Fei Shi's phone. "The number you have called is unavailable." Mo Fan's heart skipped a beat. "I'll meet you guys later." Without saying more, Mo Fan dashed out of the Hunters Union Hall. "Hey, wait, at least take my phone so we can contact you," Fei Shi yelled. He tossed his phone toward the running Mo Fan. "Brother, isn't it dangerous to throw your phone like that? What if he didn't catch it?" "Don't worry, that's a Nokia. It won't break." "Brother, I meant what if you crushed him to death?" "What's wrong? Why does your face suddenly look so bad?" "Who knows? Either way, let's get to work." Chapter end. Versatile Mage. Chapter 57 Danger. Brushing past the body, Mo Fan felt as though he was burning with impatience. At this moment, he really wished he had a movement spell so he could quickly arrive at Mingwen Girls' Middle School. Sitting in the slow taxi, he finally arrived at Aunt Mo King's house. As he dashed inside, Mo Fan almost crashed into a girl in a wheelchair when he turned a corner. "Brother Mo Fan." Yi Xingxia smiled sweetly, astonished and delighted that he was there. "Xingxia, you're okay. You scared the living hell out of me." Seeing Yi Xingxia's smile instantly calmed Mo Fan's heart. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Why was your phone turned off when I called you?" "Payment was due. I wasn't willing to pay." Yi Xingxia lowered her head, embarrassed. "All right, the girl was just trying to save a little money." Either way, as long as she was fine, Mo Fan relaxed. "Did the practicals go smoothly?" Yi Xingxia handed him a rolled handkerchief. Nowadays, girls who carried a handkerchief were rare. It wasn't that Xingxia was obsessed with literature. It was simply to save money. Mo Fan wiped his sweat, catching the alluring scent on it. Still that familiar fragrance. The ones he had borrowed before had long lost their scent. Almost exposed my vulgar side there. "I heard that there are missing girls from your school," Mo Fan asked. Yi Xingxia nodded urgently. "It's really scary this time. Aunt won't even let me go to school." "Tell me what's going on." "It's a girl from my next door class. Her name is Lin Yuna. The day she disappeared, I was also in the library. She even told me she was going back to the dormitory. But after that, I never saw her again. None of the cameras in school recorded her leaving either," Yi Xingxia said quietly. Seeing her turn pale at the memory, Mo Fan lightly patted her shoulder. "In that case, you were the last person to see her?" Mo Fan asked. "Yeah, the police have already questioned me several times, but that's all I know." However, Yi Xingxia lowered her head. "What's wrong?" Mo Fan pressed. "After leaving the library, I smelled something strange, similar to the rancid odor from a certain spot in the school cafeteria. But our library is far from the cafeteria, and at that moment, I felt a strange chill, like something was staring at me. I was so scared that I hurriedly left," Yi Xingxia said. Mo Fan's brows furrowed. Apparently, she had been dangerously close to the source. "Brother Mo Fan, if I hadn't left early," Yi Xingxia trailed off, clearly shaken. "Yeah, it's a good thing you left early, or else you might have been the one who went missing," Mo Fan said, relief washing over him. Yi Xingxia shook her head and muttered so softly only she could hear, "I think that scary thing's original target was me. Since I left quickly, it turned toward Li Yuna instead. I should have gone to find her and taken her with me." Hearing her blame herself, Mo Fan was momentarily speechless. This silly girl. If she hadn't left early, there might have been 2 missing girls. If something really was lurking in the school, neither of them had the strength to defend themselves. How can this be your fault? Even if you told Lin Yuna, she might not have believed you. Your senses have always been sharper than others since you were young, but you can't move freely. Being able to protect yourself is already impressive, Mo Fan said gently. Brother Mo Fan, do you think Lin Yuna has already? Most likely. Oh, no. Definitely not. I'm now working for the City Hunter team. We'll solve this problem. How could I let my cute Xinxia stay in such a dangerous school? Mo Fan declared, patting his chest. This came from the heart. With such a thing happening in Mingwen Girls' Middle School, even if he wasn't a city hunter, he'd still rush over. Yi Xinxia had already lost enough growing up. Mo Fan would never allow his wheelchair-bound sister to suffer more. She was pure, beautiful, and kind. As a child, Mo Fan often hid at Yi Xinxia's house after fighting with the neighborhood kids to avoid his father's scolding. She would carefully clean and bandage his cuts and even lie for his sake. Ever since then, Mo Fan had vowed to take good care of her and never let her be hurt. For the next few days, stay home. Wait until I deal with the perpetrator. Mo Fan patted her head. Yi Xinxia nodded sweetly. After learning Mo Fan was a lightning mage, she felt much safer. Moreover, she could sense that her brother Fan was growing stronger and stronger. He had gone from a common youth to a magician, and now to a city hunter. He seemed to change every time she saw him, and she guessed he worked hard to improve whenever they were apart. Brother Mo Fan, did you get a lot of sun during your practicals? Not at all. Why, you're so black I could barely recognize you. After leaving his aunt's home, Mo Fan headed for Mingwen Girls' Middle School. Shit, a city and a school actually had something so scary happening. Developing the flowers of the nation in such an environment. The teachers might endure it, but this uncle won't. The beautiful girls of Mingwen Girls' Middle School, do not be flustered, do not be afraid, your prince on a black horse has arrived to rescue you from chaos. Bang! Kicking open the elegant school gates, Mo Fan prepared to bask in the admiration of thousands of girls in short white skirts. Who would have thought the entire campus was completely empty? A few stray cats in the flower beds stuck their heads out, staring at the intruder with disdain, as if to say, where'd this idiot come from? You scared the crap out of this daddy. Oh. Right, it's summer break. No girls here. Hey, you got here before me. Mo Fan turned and saw Guo Kaitang, the extremely arrogant girl. Other than her plump chest and slender legs, her whole presence radiated the aura of an evil woman. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 58 Monster of the Cafeteria. Did you find anything? Guo Kaitang asked Mo Fan. I asked the person who last saw the missing girl. She said she smelled the rotten odor from the cafeteria. I've basically determined the cafeteria either has a panty-stealing pervert or a magical beast. Mo Fan pushed up his glasses in a move that exuded wisdom. How did Detective Conan put it? Oh right, there is only one truth. Is that so? Then tonight, you'll keep watch over the cafeteria. The rest of us will check the teaching blocks, Mingwen Mountain Park, the dormitory, and the school field, Guo Kaitang replied, her tone dripping with arrogance. Why am I not watching the dormitories? I heard a few students stayed behind. Why don't you let me ensure they're safe? Mo Fan began. Just Fei Shi being there is enough. Mo Fan felt a headache coming on. Fei Shi looked like the type of weird uncle who might steal girls' underwear. Leaving him to watch the dormitories might put the girls in even more danger. That evening, Mo Fan really was assigned to watch the cafeteria. The cafeteria of Mingwen Girls' Middle School was enormous, more like a grand meeting hall. Since this was an aristocratic school, such a luxurious and spacious dining hall was expected. Unlike the cafeteria of Tianlan Magic High, if you tried hiding here, the aunties would sweep you out in seconds. The dark cafeteria had only a few spots faintly lit by distant lights. The chairs and tables were neatly arranged. Mo Fan squatted in a corner, daydreaming about the summer scene of girls in short skirts, sweet fragrances overflowing, springtime radiance everywhere. Boom, 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 boom. The noise came from nowhere. A lone spoon, forgotten on a table, swayed and trembled until it slid toward the edge. As it fell, it smacked Mo Fan on the head. He quickly grabbed it before it clattered to the ground, nearly giving away his position. What the hell? Who leaves their spoon after a midnight ice cream? Almost got me caught. This cafeteria is really weird. Where's the shaking coming from? Feels like there's a construction team under me. Are they building a prison basement? Those seem to be trendy lately, Mo Fan muttered, stealthily peeking around. Growl. A strange, deep noise came from the back of the cafeteria kitchen. Following it was the rancid smell of rotten food, chives, spoiled meat, and salted vegetables. Shit. There really is a magical beast. Mo Fan tensed. Before joining the City Hunter team, Mo Fan thought the city was peaceful and safe. Magical beasts were just stories adults told to scare kids into sleeping. Who would have thought there were actually magical beasts lurking in the city? Aunt Mo King's warnings weren't necessarily false. It made sense. The city was huge, full of unknown corners. If a magical beast appeared and human lives were involved, the police would likely suppress the news and resolve it quietly. Panic was often worse than the threat itself. Mo Fan reached into his pocket and pressed his communication device, signaling his team of the situation. But the instant he sent the signal, the thing behind the kitchen reacted, almost as if it sensed it. Two deep blue eyes suddenly appeared behind the kitchen glass, locking directly onto him. Each pupil was the size of a basketball, surrounded by writhing flesh. Using the reflection, Mo Fan caught a silhouette. That's a neck, thick as a tree trunk. Hard to tell if it was a neck or a head. Where a head should be, there was only a massive eye and a mouth crammed with rotten food. Shit, are these magical beasts equipped with signal receivers? It sensed me sending a signal. Even Hollywood aliens aren't that overpowered. Goo-goo. The pupil suddenly contracted, condensing energy. A red ray instantly shot from the monster's eye. It blasted through the kitchen glass, tore through the row of dining tables, and sped straight toward Mo Fan. Mo Fan almost peed himself. This thing doesn't even greet before attacking. Its cold gaze was like a cafeteria lady's soul-piercing stare when you dare to ask for extra meat. Fortunately, Mo Fan had dealt with magical beasts before. His reflexes kicked in, and he tumbled toward the cafeteria exit. A second later, his hiding spot turned into a smoking black hole. If he hadn't rolled, that hole would have been in his chest. As a magician's stardust grew stronger, their physique improved, enough to dodge such obvious attacks. Mo Fan had also been smart in picking a spot near the exit. With one roll, he was out of the cafeteria. But it wasn't over. The monster let out a screech and rushed from the back of the cafeteria, its massive eye once again gathering red light. Mo Fan glanced back, shocked. This thing's attack speed is insane. I can't dodge another shot. He quickly tried to activate the magical imprint in his soul to summon the bone sight shield. Water field, dissolve. A clear voice rang from the distant basketball court. A stream of water appeared, soft as a ribbon, floating in front of Mo Fan, then forming into a concave shield. The red ray slammed into the water, completely neutralized. The energy dispersed into countless droplets, splashing at Mo Fan's feet. Mo Fan stopped activating his shield and turned to see Seoki smiling sweetly at him, revealing two cute canine teeth. Seoki, lady, your timing is way too perfect. Chapter end. Versatile Mage. Chapter 59 Battle Ape Rat. Fan Mo, retreat to the back. Leave this animal to me. Captain Zhu Dawang shouted as he and Fei Shi both arrived in time. The two looked as though they had accelerated along a flat escalator. They didn't take a single step, yet their bodies were moving along the flat ground. Mo Fan knew that this was the primary spell of the Earth element, Earth Ripple. Earth Ripple was also a movement spell. You could control the surface of the ground to initiate quick movement. Wang Sanpang was also capable of this. However, he was not as adept at it as Fei Shi. This is a colossal-eyed ape rat. They usually live underground. Thus, they're experts in digging holes and particularly enjoy the city sewers. They can stretch their necks, and their eyes can release a piercing red light beam. This thing is like a mixed rat, capable of high-speed reproduction. Their survival abilities are high. The sewers and garbage lots tend to have quite a few of them. Normally, they eat human leftovers. However, if their hunger reaches a certain degree, they're able to eat humans as well, making them a terrifying and numerous magical beast. Soon enough, Vice Captain Guo Kaitang informed everyone about this creature. Colossal-eyed ape rat. The magical beast classes had discussed this creature a few times. It was an expert at living underground and hole digging. It was the Lanxiang University amongst magical beasts. Normally, whenever this kind of magical beast encounters a magician, they would run away peeing themselves. How come this one dared to even initiate attacks? This one is evidently extremely rash. I reckon it's starving, requiring a large amount of food and energy. Fortunately, we happened to find it. Fei Shi said with a smile. These people were different from the group of students who were scared like dogs when they first encountered magical beasts. Whether it was Captain Zhu Dawang, the girl Xiao Qi, Wind Mage Guo Kaitang, or Uncle Fei Shi, they wore a different attitude when they faced off against the colossal-eyed ape rat. They were all spread out, but they stood within a distance where they could support each other. They formed an attack formation while maintaining a distance where they could retreat if they encountered danger. Mo Fan, who had just joined their team as a member, was awkwardly standing there. It looked as though he had told his teammates, "After you retreat, I will challenge this creature." However, the truth was, he was slowly shifting toward the back of his teammates. On the inside, he was cursing Fei Shi for not using Earth Ripple on him. The sound of an empty stomach grumbled out. This colossal-eyed ape rat was indeed extremely vicious. It didn't run away despite seeing so many people. Its eyes immediately locked onto the closest person to itself, the Wind Mage, Li Wenji. It's the red light beam. This animal that lived amongst the human city's dark corners looked as though it wanted to shoot through the people moving around it presently. Its intense roaring was particularly fierce in the air of the evening school campus. "You want to attack us?" The Wind Mage Li Wenji was laid back. Mo Fan practically didn't see Li Wenji meticulously focus his mind to link the star paths, yet a cyan wind track emerged around his body, incessantly blowing his white shirt. Swoosh! The red piercing beam shot forth, but Li Wenji left behind only chaotic air in his former location. His figure had already flashed 5 meters away. How could one be that handsome? Fool! You dare to come out and harm people with just this little skill. Li Wenji stood in front of a table tennis stand as he coldly smiled toward the colossal-eyed ape rat. When the colossal-eyed ape rat saw its beam was ineffective toward this nimble human, it flew into a rage as it spread its 4 sharp limbs. With a neck and head that strange, the colossal-eyed ape rat's speed was actually a few times faster than the spirit wolf which Mo Fan had met before. If it used this speed to go against the students, even if they were able to stay calm and complete their star path, they would still be too late to cast their spells. The time it took for students to cast their spells was around 4 seconds, whereas the colossal-eyed ape rat was able to get to Li Wenji from a place 40 meters away in a short 2 seconds. Its claws were then scratching right for Li Wenji's face. Mo Fan couldn't help but feel apprehensive. He was scared of Li Wenji losing his life. Looking at his surroundings, neither the water mage Xiao Qi nor the earth mage Fei Shi seemed to have any intention of saving Li Wenji. Wind track, flash steps. Li Wenji was not flustered at all. His gaze calmly watched the colossal-eyed ape rat dash over as he coldly spouted the name of the spell. Swoosh! Li Wenji's body once again disappeared from his original location. The colossal-eyed ape rat's claws smacked against the stone table tennis stand, reducing the table into powder that flew off into the surroundings. After the creature realized that its claw had failed, it immediately began to look for Li Wenji. Swoosh! Li Wenji took another step. He once again left behind a dust trail before he quickly flashed 20 meters away. Swoosh! Li Wenji stopped behind a cotton tree planted inside the cantina. To Mo Fan's surprise, the Wind Mage had once again disappeared from his sight. Following this, a red beam fiercely hit the cotton tree Li Wenji had stopped behind. The cotton tree was pierced straight through by the beam, leaving behind a blackened hole. Ash blew out of the hole from the superheated steam and charred wood, drifting down in a cloud of dark motes. Wind track, flash step. Mo Fan saw this and gasped in surprise. In school, all the wind elemental students had only grasped the wind track's swift travel. To move fast with swift travel was only possible if you were able to create a wind tunnel. Although it was indeed quick, it was still not as fast as Li Wenji's flash step. If Zhang Xiaohou had grasped wind track's flash steps back then, he would definitely have been able to thrash that spirit wolf around a few times and get out of the difficult situation of being chased deep within the cavern. Although it was also a primary spell of the wind track, its effect felt evidently on a different level. The colossal-eyed ape rat's sensitivity was even above that of the spirit wolf. However, at the end of the day, it still wasn't able to touch the corner of Li Wenji's clothes. As expected, the things you learned at school were far too limited. Only when you were exposed to this kind of environment and incessantly gained practical combat experience will you truly be able to raise your strength. It was a wise choice to join the hunters. Only when I follow these hunter mages who are fearless in front of the magical beasts will I be able to grow. Going with those students who pee their pants when they see a magical beast is definitely a bad choice. It wasn't that Mo Fan disliked his classmates, but he had come to realize many things after battling against the spirit wolf. Pursuing examinations, grades, target shootings, attending magical beast classes, and analyzing battle techniques were completely useless when you actually encountered a magical beast. The only way to improve is to fight, to incessantly face magical beasts like this. Have a taste of my flames. Captain Zhu Dawang flew up confidently. There was already a ball of scorching hot flame in his palm. The flames illuminated the sturdy uncle's face, which carried some disdain for the creature before him. Chapter End. Versatile Mage. Chapter 60. Come forth, lightning. Fire burst. Zhu Dawang bellowed. The strong flame in his hands split the night, flying toward the colossal-eyed ape rat. Feeling the heat behind it, the cunning rat tried to dodge to the side. This move by the colossal-eyed ape rat astonished Mo Fan. It had keen senses to detect the speedy attack by Zhu Dawang. It was obviously going to miss. Monsters wouldn't just stand there like a dummy in school, waiting to be attacked. Hide. Futile. Zhu Dawang laughed in mockery. The fireball landed where the colossal-eyed ape rat had first stood, missing it completely. Burst. He chanted, adding the twist to the technique. In that instant, a ray of light emerged from the extinguishing fireball as it burst open. Boom! The cloud of fire exploded, waves of flames quickly swallowing everything from the point of impact. Crimson. The crimson flames engulfed everything in a 3-meter radius, including the rat which thought it had evaded the attack. A tremor rippled through the air, and the explosion was blinding. Through the flames, Mo Fan could faintly see the colossal-eyed ape rat get swallowed up in crimson. Its fat bulk was thrown 5 or 6 meters away, slamming headfirst into the canteen walls. Cornered, the colossal-eyed ape rat thrashed for its life, now stripped of that monstrous air. It was just a half-dead sewer rat. At this, Mo Fan's lips stretched into a giant, "Oh." Unbelievable. Fire burst. That overbearing burst effect left no chance for that agile rat. The burn and cremation effects paled in comparison to the direct and violent burst. Mo Fan never would have thought that the squad leader of the hunting squad had trained the fire burst technique to the 3rd level. That burst effect nearly killed the rat instantly. Man, if he had known fire burst during the spirit wolf encounter, he could have ended it in a blast. Would he have needed to run and rely on those stalagmites? If those stalagmites hadn't been everywhere, and the monster positioned directly underneath. Last time, he was lucky. Unbelievably cool. At this point, Mo Fan's heart toiled like the raging waves of fire. Thinking about how his fireball could reach this level, his passion for training blazed. As long as he could master Fire Burst, that Yuao wouldn't be his match, and that old geezer Mu Juan could be smacked so hard his face would swell. Yes, no matter what, I have to reach the 3rd level for Fire Burst before I graduate and blind the titanium dog eyes of those old geezers in the Mu family. The experience and skill of the hunting squad was apparent when they predicted that the rat would run after the blast. Fei Shi and Guo Kaitang sealed the escape routes of the rat using their techniques. Ku, the big-eyed rat roared, leaping unexpectedly toward Guo Kaitang. Guo Kaitang paused. Her ice vine technique froze the spot where the rat had just fled. She did not anticipate that the rat could still thrash so violently. Xiao Qi, water meld, now. Squad leader Zhu Dawang tensed at the sight. Xiao Qi panicked, frantically linking the water star rails. Nervous, Xiao Qi slowed down and couldn't cast water meld in time. Guo Kaitang, having faced dangers like this before, grit her teeth and leapt to the side. Although she couldn't dodge completely, as long as she could save her vitals, losing an arm was better than dying. Lightning seal python mark. Multiple seals swarmed in from the distance just as the situation turned for the worse. These seals flogged the colossal-eyed ape rat and flayed its flesh. The python marks drilled frantically into its muscles, leaving it unable to run. Halfway through its dash, the rat seized up and slumped onto the concrete, rolling to a stop before Guo Kaitang's legs. Guo Kaitang paused as she saw the twitching rat, then jumped back a few meters away. She stared in disbelief at Mo Fan. Good job, Fan Mo. Man, this colossal-eyed ape rat has to be mutated. Why is it more violent than the one-eyed wolf? Half dead and it's still attacking rather than running. Fei Shi exclaimed, still shocked from the ordeal. I've told you so many times. Be on your guard, be on your guard. Guo Kaitang almost died. If not for the lightning mage we recruited today, would the monster be paralyzed? How else would we stop the rat from staking it all? Squad leader Zhu Dawang burst into a tirade. I'm sorry, it's my fault, Xiao Qi stammered. Apologies won't help if someone dies. They can't hear it in the graves. As the only water mage in the team with defense capabilities, your job is to be on your guard. Be ready with your star rails at all times. Zhu Dawang bellowed at Xiao Qi. Mo Fan was slightly surprised. He had expected Captain Zhu Dawang to just nag instead of lashing out at such a cute girl. However, he wasn't wrong. Magicians of different elements had different roles to play when forming a hunting team. A single mistake in a strategy was not only lethal, but could spell disaster for the entire team. Monsters killed in an instant. Xiao Qi bit her lip and said nothing, realizing the severity of her mistake. Guo Kaitang did not blame Xiao Qi. Instead, she continued to stare at Mo Fan. She was about to die, but this greenhorn had saved her life. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.